Welcome to the weekly Torah Power-up in less than 10 minutes, based on the wisdom and teachings of the Rebbe, brought to you by Chabad of Nebraska. I want to share with you a fable that I heard when I was young, and it stuck with me, and I want to share it with you. It's a story of a prince who's living the charmed life in the palace, under his father's care, plenty of service all around, can pretty much get away with whatever he wants, service wherever he needs it, anything he can think of he has. And his father, the ruler of the country, realizes that his son, who will eventually become the ruler of the country in his place, may not be prepared for this job. He maybe doesn't have the feel of the people. So he sends him away for an exile, sends him off to live with the people, sends him off to a far-off city where he doesn't have contacts, people don't necessarily know who he is, and he sends him to live as a commoner, as a regular person, to kind of feel what regular people are all about and what regular people live like, and therefore can be a proper ruler. It's obviously difficult for the son at first, and he's constantly yearning to be back at the palace, but he makes it work, and he gets a job, he works, and he kind of becomes part of the community. Many years later, he finally gets a letter from his father, the king, notifying him that in the next 3 months, he's going to be sending a procession, a group, to pick him up and bring him back to the palace, as he has found that his son has learned the lesson and is now ready to come back and take his place in the palace. The son is obviously overjoyed and really wants to just break out in dancing. And he wants to celebrate, but he realizes the people around him don't really know who he is and what he's all about, and won't be able to celebrate. So he comes up with a brilliant plan. He invites all the people around him, all of the commoners and the peasants, to a party, and he serves lots of good food and lots of alcohol, obviously based on the amount he could afford, based on where he is, and everybody comes to join him, and they eat good food and they drink, and everyone's happy and dancing, and the prince himself, without having to eat any of the good food or having to drink any of the alcohol, is ready to dance and be joyful with them. A very powerful lesson, this fable. The concept is that you sometimes, and really for true joy, you need others around you. And this concept is very, very deeply found in the Torah. There are several mitzvot that we find throughout the Torah which seem like they're being pushed off in life. I'll give you an example, one known as the Bikurim, special ceremony where someone living in Israel, especially during the time of the temple, would go out into his orchard and see the first fruit that was starting to bud, and he would tie a little string around it to know that this is the first fruit, specific fruit only of the 7 fruit which Israel is known to be blessed with. And he would then wait until the fruit blossomed and became ripe. He would pick the fruit and then take it to Jerusalem and celebrate with it. Very interestingly, this mitzvah did not become a mitzvah right away. The Jews moved into Israel after they wandered in the desert for almost 40 years. And then it took 14 years for them to conquer and then settle the land and split it between all the Jews. And the mitzvah did not become a mitzvah until everybody got a piece of that mitzvah. Everybody was conquered and settled. Another mitzvah we find is a concept of tithing. We give away of tithing. You give away 10% of earnings, and there's different sections of it. There's some go to the Levites, some go to the poor, and one aspect of it is actually only brought when you go to the temple. It's held back, and you only bring it when you bring it to the temple. Those two mitzvahs, our commandments, are held back. We don't do them. We don't perform them immediately. We don't perform them at the first possible opportunity. We wait. We wait until everybody can perform it together, because this is a deep and very important concept in the Torah. Everyone in the Jewish nation has to look at the people around him as a piece of himself, because really, at our source, from the beginning, our souls are all really part of one thing. We're really one part of one essence. Then, as we're born and our souls come down onto this earth, we're split apart into different pieces. But we have to look at ourselves back to that original point where we're one body, we're one thing, and we're really one essence. And like one body, sometimes there may be someone who could be the toe, or the lowly toe, but maybe you think he's the toe, and maybe he actually is the toe. Maybe he is the lowest person you know. But at the end of the day, he's still part of your body. And if you've ever stubbed your toe, you know that when your toe is in pain, you too are in pain. It hurts. It's all one unit. And our job is to look at it and say, we are all really one, and we can only really find true joy. These mitzvot, Bikurim and Meiser, tithing, is one thing. The point of it is to bring true joy. And you can only have true joy when everybody is unified. That unity is the core and a basic tenet of many of the mitzvot, and it really is a core of the entire Torah. Everybody has to look at each other and say that we are all really one unit. We were one unit, and it is time to see ourselves as that one unit. And when we have that purview, and we have that vision, and we see ourselves as one unit, and that true joy can then be experienced, and that true unity can be experienced, that will actually bring us to the truest unity and the truest joy, which will be the ultimate redemption. And that is when we will experience joy at its fullest, and we will experience unity at its fullest. I'd like to ask you all to like our video and subscribe to our channel. That way you will see every week's weekly Torah Power-up. And we will, please God, see you next week.